Told you earlier in the show, the Browns agreed to a one-year contract with Joe Flacco. Here is former NFL defensive lineman Chris Canty reacting to the Browns signing of Joe Flacco.
Well, first things first, it does take a little bit of the urgency away from them having to take a quarterback with the second overall pick. I think they can truly go best available. But as soon as I saw this, my mind immediately went to the Cleveland Browns being out of the Kirk Cousins business.
Oh.
Because you've got two veteran quarterbacks on your roster right now in Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. I'm assuming that you would draft another one to have a younger developmental prospect in the pipeline, not necessarily with the second overall pick, but with a premium draft pick, whether you trade back into the first round or you use the 33rd overall pick, the pick you have in the second round. But it felt like this is taking them out of the business of trading for Kirk Cousins from the Atlanta Falcons. So I think that's absolutely fascinating. That's a development because that now takes a team off the board in terms of the Cousins sweepstakes and in terms of looking at a backup option. So I think that's the fascinating domino effect of this Joe Flacco signing. Number one, what it does at the top of the draft for the Cleveland Browns, but then subsequently, what happens with Kirk Cousins and where does he eventually end up? Because I do think it's an untenable situation for him to remain the backup with the Atlanta Falcons.
Plug him in, G. Bush from 92.3. Well, actually, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and the Barbershop, no longer on 92.3. So we'll make that.
Actually, I do go. I'm on 92.3 The Fan still. We still do some stuff over there, but you can shout them out too.
All right, there you go. I can't disagree with Chris Canty. That was my initial reaction. Kirk Cousins ain't coming here. They didn't. Falcons wanted too much, and the Browns didn't want to pay it.
Yeah, listen, I think the ship has sailed on the Kirk Cousins situation. When he made that roster bonus and got, I think it was $10 million, I think he was out of the plans for the Cleveland Browns. And, listen, I would say rightfully so. You brought in Flacco. He is 40 years old, or would be turning 40, I believe, somewhere around there. But, similar trajectory, similar veteran. You know what you're going to get out of those guys. Those guys are going to be both bridge quarterbacks. I think you still draft the quarterback coming up in the draft at some point, even if you would have got Kirk Cousins or Joe Flacco. And I think this is an opportunity that you'll see Joe Flacco and get back with Kevin Stefanski. And it gives the Cleveland Browns an opportunity to run exactly what they want to run. You take a look at the play action and how Flacco ran that well. It also gives the Cleveland Browns fan base a familiar face that was a fan favorite. And it gives you an opportunity to have some goodwill and a little bit of mojo going into the season. They'll probably say it's going to be a quarterback competition between him and Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett is a solid backup option moving forward. I think he has a higher ceiling in terms of what he can do over DTR. And now, it comes down to who do you like a quarterback in this draft? Could Shedeur Sanders possibly fall back to you? Could Jackson Dart be a guy? Obviously, we know about Will Howard, and you'll probably get lots of people who are saying this is a great opportunity to take Will Howard in the third round because there are some Buckeye fans who really would enjoy him to be in the Browns jersey. But overall, I think that this was a move that was a solid move. $4 million could be up to $13 million. And I think, it gives you something that the Cleveland Browns are I call it delivering red meat to their base. There you go. Like, hey guys, you guys like Joe Flacco back in the day? You love the Thursday night football game. Here you go. Joe Flacco is back, and he's going to be in a familiar uniform with Kevin Stefanski, and he'll probably have a opportunity to draft another quarterback that could be in the mix as well.
Do you think it means they're looking younger, more developmental quarterback? They're probably not going quarterback at 2. I can be talked into either of them. I think what it means is whomever they draft, they don't want to have to play them until they're absolutely ready, be it at 2, 33, 94, wherever they take a quarterback.
I think to me, I've kind of settled in on this for about a week. I said it on the barbershop last Saturday morning at 9. I said, look, I think I'm settling into Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter is the pick. If you go back and look at what Andrew Berry said at the owners' meetings, he talked about comparing this guy to Charles Woodson and Champ Bailey, and he said even though those guys did play a little bit, those guys are not as productive as Travis Hunter was offensively. 96 receptions last year, 1,400 yards in the air. given the fact that, those guys, Champ Bailey and Charles Woodson, didn't play all that much in college at wide receiver. But you look at it, I think Travis Hunter is the pick there at 2. He's a generational type player. And I've always said that if you can get one of those blue chip players, you have to go and get him. And you get Travis Hunter, and now you bring in a Joe Flacco. Now you could say, okay, well, look, now it's back to who do you think you can trade back into the second round and get? If Shedeur Sanders is there, and you get him and you move up top, McShay talked about it a couple of weeks ago, or not a couple of weeks ago, about a few days ago, about the possibility of the Cleveland Browns moving up with the Atlanta Falcons at 15 to possibly take a quarterback if Shedeur Sanders is passed on per se by the Giants at 3. You also have the Las Vegas Raiders, who are in that mix. A lot of drafts have them taking Ashton Genty or a running back because they did go out and get a quarterback and pay him some money and extend him in Geno Smith. And then you have there at the end a little bit the Saints, who obviously could go corner. They can go a lot of other positions, but at that position, at that point, I'm interested in getting ahead of the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21, and you possibly get a generational player and your quarterback of the future that may be there, whether that's a Shedeur Sanders. I don't think they would trade back in to first round to take Jalen Milroe, but I think Milroe could possibly be in play at 33 if they decided to just not trade up and stay right where they're at 33. So I think it's a good possibility. If I had to bet, if I was a betting man, I would say that the Cleveland Browns are going to come away in this draft with Travis Hunter, and they're going to come away with either Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, or Shedeur Sanders at quarterback.